stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, the prairie sky is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas.
That goes on out here. The city was made like it's almost like a whole nother world.
The rabbits rush around the brush. Deep in the heart.
I cannot believe all of this is like right here, and I had like no idea.
Chicken hawks are full of squawks. Deep in the heart of Texas, oil wells are full of smells. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Need to know that I think the most common misconception is that a lot of the girls that are involved with stuff like that are doing it on their own free will. When I was, right before I turned 18, going into my senior year of high school, my parents found birth control in my backpack and decided to kick me out because of that. Whenever that happened, I went to class the next day and talked to my counselor about getting into night classes so I could go ahead and finish up my high school education. Whenever that happened, I pretty much realized that I needed to get my own place and make money because I had nothing. And so I started dancing at a club where I'm from. And after that, the money wasn't, it was good. It was enough to support myself and everything. So I got a place. And then I started going down to Dallas about probably 3 weeks later and met a guy that basically, told me that that he would pretty much give me a lot more opportunity than what I had. Like, we could open up businesses together, and I basically, he was forming a company of girls, like a corporation of girls, and that I could be a part of it. And so I fell for it, and he flew me to Vegas, and from there, to make a long story short, from there, basically, after about 3 weeks, I realized that I'd gotten into a situation that I was not good. There were several girls. We got, manipulated into prostitution. Some forced into it. Several forced into it. Long shifts, 14-hour, 15-hour shifts at clubs. We were handing him every single dime. Basically, about 2 years into it, I was to the point to where I decided either I was going to kill myself or I was going to, completely try to figure out a way to get out of it. And so whenever I made that decision, I decided to leave once. Whenever I left, there was a lot of threats that were made, to myself, to my family. So I ended up going back and got beat pretty severely. And from there, kind of was like, okay, maybe this is where I need to be. Maybe I shouldn't, leave again, because I didn't want anything else to happen to myself. So I stayed a bit longer, and finally just was so fed up with it at one point that I got up the courage to start stashing money, and I'd pull up the carpet in my closet, and every night I'd peel off a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, and I'd hide it. And finally one day it was just the right time. And I flew to Los Angeles, and I've never seen him since. A 16, 17-year girl on the street, she most definitely has a pimp. They're not doing that on their own. Who was doing what? Say we were staying in hotels, and there was times where I'd get not lazy, but I just would not want to work 15 hours. And so I would work out in the hotel, and we'd throw up ads on certain websites we'd throw ads on, and people would just come to the hotel.
What would be...
Not to be like pretentious or anything, but if it was like, you know, like set up like a homeless shelter, then no, I would have much rather, you know, done things on my own.
Yeah.
If it was something like, not like, I'm not saying I need, you know, the Four Seasons or anything, but something where I feel like I can relate to somebody, something that...
what would you have related to?
Probably somebody, you know, younger, you know, either around my age or maybe slightly older that understood exactly what was going on. I would not have wanted to talk to some, no offense, but some like 40-year-old white woman that lives in suburbia and never seen anything like this, you know. The last thing I would have wanted to do in that situation was go into a place and not been taken seriously. And it is a very serious, very, very serious thing. I mean, whenever you leave, like I was in a constant state of fear for myself, for my family, back up into the lifestyle, because I had been making money a certain way for 4 years, and you know, I had no resume, I had no job experience, and nothing, and so I went straight back into dancing. I really think that one of the major things that needs to be done is just start in schools. I think that's and I will scream this to the world, like I really think that that's like the first place that it needs to start. Because if I would have been aware coming out of you know 11th, 12th grade that stuff like this is going on, this is my kids are getting sent out into this massive crazy thing and have no idea what's about to hit them. And if I would have known that was going to hit me, and if I would have been prepared for that, I in my opinion don't think I would have gotten involved with it, because I never would have thought that stuff like that existed. I had no idea. But I think they go after the girl more than they do the actual problem.
What do you do the actual problem?
The guys behind it, the pimps, and the people that are going to get service. I mean, I've literally seen a girl in the action of doing something while a club has gotten busted, and she was arrested and the guy was let go. It doesn't make sense to me. There was, when I got beat up pretty bad, I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And
nobody asked?
No.
Nobody questioned?
Wow. I had a couple broken ribs and like a black eye. Big, like the whole underside of my throat was swollen because he uppercut me, and so it was like a softball size, like, and I mean, you know, they did ask like what happened, and I was like, oh, I got into a fight, but that was just about it. I don't know.
Who took you?
He did.
So you're in the emergency room with him, and you're saying you got in a fight. Wow.
Yeah.
Point in time.
At that point in time, I thought of myself as somebody that if anybody found out about it, then I was going to get into a ton of trouble.
More than it is about blame, I think it's about what do we need to do differently so this doesn't happen to somebody else.
Yeah.